and we're going to hand over to Kate. Any questions that are in the chat, I'll pick up at the end, and then we can have a bit more of a discussion at the end. So over to you, Kate.
Thank you very much, Sally. So, as Sally says, I'm obviously not in Vietnam, unfortunately. I wish I was at the moment. I'm in sunny Northampton, but I work for one of the specialists that work with travel counsellors. And I've been travelling to Southeast Asia for the last 10, 15 years. So I consider myself well travelled in these destinations, and I'm very excited to finally be able to talk about them again during this difficult time. So, as Sally said, we're going to do a Vietnam and a touch of Cambodia. There is lots more to discover in Cambodia. So if you have any questions about further areas in Cambodia, or you want more further information, then please don't hesitate to ask as well. It's just, if I was to touch on the whole of Vietnam and Cambodia today, I'd probably be boring you to death for about 45 minutes to an hour. So we're just going to try and condense it down today. So why travel to Vietnam and Cambodia? So it's a rich and diverse culture. There's unique history and traditions. There's fantastic monuments. There's diverse landscapes. One minute you can be by the beautiful sea, the next day in the mountains, in a hustling, bustling city. There's so much to see and do. And it's also really diverse depending on the type of tourist you are. Whether you travel with your family, there's lots of things to do. Whether you are more want to get off the beaten track, then there's loads of places that you can go to. Or whether you just want to see the key iconic sites and have a bit of R&R, then there are some fantastic places to discover in these destinations. The people are so hospitable. They are lovely and friendly, and they're really keen to see tourists. The hotels can be of a varying standard, from anything from a 3-star up to a luxury 5-star. There's some fantastic local boutique chains that you can stay in, as well as the international chains. It's very much dependent on what your choice is, the kind of experience that you want. The more off the beaten track you go, obviously, the less choice there is, and the more rustic is the word I like to use, the accommodation becomes. So there's a lot more in the real remote places, homestay style accommodations, where you would stay with a family and you would be more in a shared facility. But then there's also the beautiful hotels with fantastic, amazing beds and really good service. And of course, there is the amazing food of Vietnam and Cambodia. So there really is something for everyone. So this is just an idea of a tour that you can do. Today, as I say, I'm just going to be touching on Vietnam down into Siem Reap, and also a little bit of Phnom Penh. You can do Hanoi to Siem Reap in 14 days. You won't see everything. My honest opinion is, if you've got time, it's best to do the two countries separately, but so many people want just to do that one iconic trip, in which case this is the key kind of tour for you. Vietnam is a very long country. It will take you around 35 hours for a train journey from the north to the south. It's about 1,700 kilometers. So during your stay, you will usually take at least 1 or 2 flights. Because it is a very long way otherwise. The train journeys can be a fantastic way to see the areas. They generally, a lot of people will do them overnight, and you can stay in the couche kind of style accommodation with 4 to a berth. But if that's not your thing, then there is obviously flights. There is also river cruises that you can do. There's lots of different transportation methods available. Now, in Vietnam and in Cambodia, the seasonality can be a little bit confusing. So in Vietnam is separated into 3 different areas. So you've got the north, the center, and the south. Now in each area, it's raining at a different time. So it is likely that at some point you will see a little bit of rain during your trip, but this is lovely warm rain. It's not the cold drizzle that we're used to and probably getting now. It is maybe rain for 1 to 2 hours a day, and then the beautiful sunshine comes out again. The key thing with when we call wet season, I like to call it green season, is that the humidity is getting hotter and hotter. So as you can see from there, the north, from May through to August, it is getting very hot and the humidity is getting more and more. So if you travel to Hanoi, for instance, at the end of July, early August, you will walk out of your hotel room and probably only walk or half a mile down the road and you will need a shower again. So if you're the kind of person that loves humidity, fantastic. If you're not, it's better to go earlier or later in the year. In the center of Vietnam, the middle months can actually be a fantastic time to go. And if you are of a family and you're looking for a new beach stay location, then Hoi An and Da Nang can be fantastic for that, because there's lots of lovely hotels that you can stay in, and you can just do a one center there. And then in the south, you've got the winter season that we're coming into is a fantastic time to travel around there. If you're doing the whole of the country, which most people will travel March, April, May, or they will come towards November, December time. And with Vietnam, there are so many beach destinations. There's so many different places that you can visit. It's easy to transfer the itinerary so that you're not in an area that is going to be more rainy for a long time. In Cambodia, it's very similar. The early parts of the year are the best times and the end time of the year. In the middle, you've got some warmer areas and you've got that green season again. But this is a fantastic time to come to Angkor Wat, because you see it in the beautiful greenery, and you don't get so many tourists in your pictures. So if you're looking for that perfect picture of Angkor, then consider June into July, because I promise you it's not going to rain all day, and the guides will get you out earlier in the morning so that you miss the peak humidity, and then you can be relaxing back at your pool for the afternoon. And if it does rain, then you can just be sat in the pool with the rainstorm. I've done it many a time and it's a fantastic feeling. So the first place that most people will go into is Hanoi, and this is a complete bustle of your senses. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. Lots of motorbikes everywhere. You have to learn to play chicken and just run across that road, because otherwise, if you stay waiting for motorbikes to stop, you're never going to cross that road. You'll see the motorbikes carrying all sorts of produce. You'll see them carrying lots of cleaning equipment. You might see a Hoover on there. You might see a family of 5 people on one motorbike. They are fascinating to watch. And Hanoi has this real crazy feeling about it, but it is the historic older city in Vietnam as well. So there is lots of things to see and do. You've got this amazing railway that still goes through the center of the streets, and you've got the lovely markets at either side. And then you've got fantastic nighttime availability where you can go out to eat, you can have a drink. Ooh, there is some really amazing things to see. I'm just going to skip that. 2 seconds. Then you've got the fantastic street market at the weekend. So Friday, Saturday and Sunday is when the street market is on in Hanoi, and you will get to really experience the city. You can go and buy your souvenirs. There's lots of local stalls at the side. A lot of things that are made in Vietnam are sold there, because obviously jackets, for instance, a lot of them are made in Vietnam, so you can get them for a quarter of the price on a street market in Vietnam, and they are not fake. At the end of this street market, you have a fantastic street which has lots of food that you can try. There's lots of street food tours that you can do in Vietnam. You can taste the banh mi. You can really explore the city at night. And it's such a safe city. It's on a bit of a crisscross setting, so very similar to a New York style. And you can just wander around at your own pleasure. And at the weekend, they close all the streets off around the street market and the lake, and you can just wander around with all the locals and really experience Hanoi. It is a fantastic place to visit. Also, you'll see on these slides, there's a lot of scooters, there's a lot of motorbikes involved, but don't worry, if it's not your cup of tea, you can still do the excursions. You can do them on push bike, you can do them in cars, you can do them in jeeps, you can do them in old cars. Whatever takes your fancy, there is ways and opportunities to see things. It's very versatile in Vietnam, so there's great opportunities to do things differently. Some of the key sites in Hanoi are Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum, which is obviously where the body of Ho Chi Minh can be found. And also you can see the One Pillar Pagoda, there's the lakes, there's lots of fantastic things to see in Hanoi. And then if you're not a city person, there's lots of places that you can discover just north of Vietnam, 1 or 2 hours. There's some fantastic little homestays, which are not homestays, so not completely rustic. They're very much hotel style, but they only have 4 or 5 rooms, and you are living with a host family on site. So there are some great opportunities if you want to get out and about. One of the iconic sites that is just 2 hours away from Hanoi, oops, sorry, clicked the wrong one then, is Halong Bay. This is the beautiful karst mountains. You can go to Halong Bay for a day, you can go for one night, you can go for 2 nights. The longer you stay, the further into the bay you will go, and the more away from the crowds you will manage to get. You can stay on a boat for 2 people, you can stay on a boat for 5 people. It's very much your own choice of what you want to do. It is dependent on your budget, but it's also dependent on how much you want to see. Whilst you're on the boat, you will get an opportunity to do some Tai Chi. You can really relax and just see the beautiful scenery. Every single cabin and every single room has these big windows, so you can always see outside, and you always have that opportunity to really view the area. There's the opportunity to go kayaking while you're on the boats. There's going for walks, going into local caves. There's squid fishing at night. There's some real opportunities for excursions on board, but you don't have to do them. If you just want to sit and relax on your balcony and watch the world go by, then that's absolutely fine as well. One thing on these cruises that they will do a lot of is feed you. You will get fed at least 4 times on the cruise. Normally when you arrive, you have a brunch, then you have a 5-course meal in the evening. The next day you have breakfast, another brunch, and depending how long you're staying, you will have even more food. All the ships have these amazing decks upstairs, and this is where in the evening most people will congregate for a happy hour, which is normally 2 hours. And you'll have the opportunity to just sit, watch the sunset, take some amazing photos. You can take part in a spring rolling contest, just do some fun activities, or you can just, as I say, watch the world go by. It is a fantastic experience on Halong Bay. But the one thing I have to say to you is there are lots of boats. So pictures like this, where you only see one, is when you're going further into Halong and you're staying for 2 nights. In the center of Vietnam, you've got a couple of places that you can visit. So Hue is the first one, and this is more of the cultural, spiritual capital. This is very much where you can go to see the pagodas, the temples, the tombs, and the Perfume River. Usually people stay for a couple of nights, and then they will move on to Hoi An. This place has some amazing scenery, and it's a very charming city. If you're into wellness, there's some fantastic properties that will offer complimentary massages. And there's also real opportunity to get out and about on a push bike and get out into the town. You have fantastic scenery and great places to see in Hue. If you're interested in the history, it really is a must. And as I say, the Perfume River is a great place to visit. If you move on to Hoi An from Hue, you will normally travel over the amazing Hai Van Pass. This is one of the longest and the highest areas in the center of Vietnam. If any of you have seen Top Gear, then you will have seen them on their motorbikes go very high into the mountains and just see these amazing views. That's the Hai Van Pass. And then that takes you into the town of Hoi An. If you're looking for a luxurious resort in the middle of nowhere, such as a banyan tree or those kind of properties, then there is some just about 3 hours out of Hue before you get to Hoi An, but they're extremely remote, and they're the kind of properties that you just want to relax and not do anything else. Hoi An is a place that I would always visit, and I absolutely love it. As you can see from these pictures, there's loads of little cyclos being driven around. These people will come to your hotels and collect you. Otherwise, there is very easy to get taxis, or you can hire your own bike and cycle into the town. In Hoi An, it's separated into 2 areas. People either stay in the city, which they tend to do in those winter months when it's rainy and stormy, or they'll stay out and further out onto the beach. There's an opportunity to do both. The beach can range anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour from the city, and the city centre, obviously, you can walk straight into these beautiful alleyways. The great thing about Hoi An is there is some amazing places that you can have clothes made, you can have shoes made, There's some fantastic restaurants, little tea rooms, and there is an amazing river running through the middle of the town. It's a real diverse town. And if you've ever seen the pictures of the Chinese, the lanterns, some of these are actually made in Hoi An. And you see them littering, and at night they're all glittered up, and it's beautiful to see over the river. It's also fantastic to play golf. So if any of you are a golf expert, then it is a great place to go. And it's also somewhere that you can get out into the countryside super quick. So you can see these people riding out into the countryside. I did it on a scooter. So I drove myself on these little scooters out into the countryside, and there you will see lots of workshops of people making noodles, people making shoes, making the lanterns, but you will also see the local farmers. There's a place called Tutee Village, which is a fantastic place that you can visit. And you can go and see the ladies in the farm, help them on the farm, pick the produce, help cook the food, and then you have a fantastic foot massage to end the day. It's just a real experience. And of course, you get to wear one of those iconic conical hats. People in Vietnam really do wear them. They're not just a tourist attraction. And the fantastic thing and fascinating thing I found about Tutee Village was the little ladies are still walking around with a heavy watering can on their back, watering their fields. And these ladies can be in their 70s, 80s, and they are so interesting to watch, because a sprinkler system in Vietnam would cost about $500, and the average wage is just not enough to cover that. One of the things I should have said in the beginning is Vietnam is actually one of the countries that you can become a millionaire really easily. For £33, you could become a millionaire in Vietnam. It is worth $1 million Vietnamese dong. So that, if there's no other reason to go, I would go for that. The food, as I said, is a big draw, and you can get a 3-course meal for 2 of you for £15. And that quite often will include beer or a local wine. A beer is about £1. Obviously, at the local 7-Eleven, it's even cheaper. There is just it is so affordable and cost effective once you are on site in the destination to be able to eat out. You've also in Hoi An, as I said, got these fantastic beaches. These stretch all the way from about 20 minutes out of Hoi An all the way up to the city Da Nang, where you fly into. The further up you go, the bigger the beach stretches. This area has been hit by some quite torrential storms recently, so the beach it does get eroded each year. But Sally and the team will be able to advise you if a property if you're looking for a beach property, where is better, how big the beach is, how easy the access is, all those kind of things. You've also got a bit of war history in this area. So there's the fantastic Jeep tours that you can take out into the mountains, to the Marble Mountain. But you can also go off the beaten track into the fields and really see the local area. You've also got the famous Instagram-worthy Golden Hand Bridge. This in the last 2 years has really taken off as somewhere people want to go and visit. It's actually a Vietnamese Disneyland, but so many people want to have their photo taken between these two hands and take this iconic picture. It's about 2 hours out of Hoi An, but if you're interested in having that picture, then it is a great place to go and visit. The food in Vietnam is very diverse. So if you're not into spicy food, you're not into noodles, it's not a problem. There is a strong French influence. So there's a lot of fusion food, as you can see here. This is more of a crepe style with some sweet chili sauce and some fillings. You quite often will learn to make your spring rolls. These can be the deep fried spring rolls that you're used to, or they can be wrapped in rice paper and be more of a soft spring roll. There really is always a diverse choice of food in Vietnam, and you're never going to get bored. Moving from the center down into the south, people will normally visit Ho Chi Minh City, otherwise known as Saigon. This is the financial district. This is very much the hustle bustle modern city. People will normally stay 2 or 3 nights in Ho Chi Minh City, and they will come, and it depends if you're a city person or not as to how long you will stay. There is a big French influence. So you have the Notre Dame Cathedral, you have a post office that is very French style, but there are also some fantastic activities that you can do in Ho Chi Minh City. Whether you want to get on a motorbike or not, The Vespa ride around Ho Chi Minh City is one of the best tours that you can do. This is a fantastic tour, and as someone who'd never been on a Vespa in my life, I was terrified at the beginning, holding on tight to the back. You have an expert driver with you. And by the end, I'd got my phone out, taking selfies, movies of all the flashing traffic going past me. It's such an adrenaline rush and such an exciting trip to do. And the fantastic thing about this tour is that every 20 minutes or so, you will stop somewhere, have a beer or a soft drink or whatever it is that you drink, and stop for some food. So you will stop in local places to have some food. You will stop at a bar at the end of the evening, and you will see a coffee shop, and you'll really feel like you've seen parts of Ho Chi Minh City that not all the tourists get to see. And it, as I say, it is just one of the most memorable experiences that people do. I've had people from the age of about 15 up to the age of 85 do this tour. No one should be discounted. One of the other fantastic things, if you're interested in the history of the war, you can do in Ho Chi Minh City is go up to the Tutee Tunnels. These are located towards the airport, but they are a fantastic place to explore. You can see the tunnels that people hid in. You can see the tanks. You can see the rifle ranges. These are iconic sites to do with the Vietnamese War. Ho Chi Minh City has a lot of the history around the war. There's a lot of museums that you can go and really study the maps of the war. You can see where the Viet Cong, the Americans, everything happened. They're very interesting if you're interested in the history side of Vietnam. And then, as I say, you've got beautiful post office and very French style influence. The streets are very wide, and again, they're busy, but not to the extent of Hanoi, and there's not so many motorcycles all around. If you want to get out of the city, which many people do, the Mekong Delta can be a fantastic place to go. Again, it's somewhere that you can go for the day, you can stay there, or it's somewhere that you can join a river cruise if you're moving on into Cambodia. So this lady is off to the local market, she's selling her produce, and this is something that you will see every day. You see the ladies with their pineapples, you see the men with the coconuts, with the bricks. They are selling everything on the river. And this is an ongoing market. You also have the opportunity to wander around. You can get in the small sampan boats. And as I say, wearing a conical hat in Vietnam is compulsory. You will see on the flight home, everyone attaching it to their suitcases, to their bags, trying to find a way to pack this hat home because it will not fit inside a suitcase. So it doesn't matter who you are, you will end up buying one and you always bring them home. But they are a fantastic way. They are always used in Vietnam still, and they're a great way of keeping the sun off your head. The boats will take you down the little tributaries of the Mekong Delta, and you can really see some of the local villages and some of the sites. There's also a Mekong fish delicacy, which you can eat, which is cooked on a stick, and you can still see the teeth. It's very difficult to describe, but it's very tasty, and it is a delicacy of the area. The Mekong is somewhere that's often overlooked, but there are some fantastic hotel options. As I say, there's some lovely 4-star options where you can just sit and watch the world go by, watching the ladies selling their produce, watching all these boats hustle and bustle around. Or there's some lovely little homestays where you can hire bikes and you can get off the beaten track and just go out into the local villages. As I say, another way that you can explore the Mekong Delta is to get on a 2 or 3 night cruise that will take you through to Cambodia. This way, you are very much able to go and see the villages in between Vietnam and Cambodia. You will see the instant switch of how life is. You will stop at some of the temples. You will really see life, but you will also have the luxury of a boat. There's boats from 3 stars up to 5 stars. The Victoria Mekong that you see in this picture has a plunge pool on board. So if you're looking for something a little bit special, then that could be an option. It is a fantastic way to go over the border into Cambodia. But just before we touch on Cambodia, obviously Vietnam also has a lot of beach destinations. As I said earlier, there is one for each of the time of year. So Hoi An, which is the area I've talked about a lot, you've got fantastic 5-star properties, luxury chains such as Shangri-La's. we have access to a set of local villas. So if you're looking for a home away from home and you want your own private pool, then there's some fantastic villa options right on the beach. This is a place to come during the summer season. So if you are the kind of in a family that you would, or the kind of couple that would normally maybe consider Koh Samui as a summer destination, and you're looking for somewhere different, then Hoi An could be a great option. It's also a great center with Singapore, Hong Kong, if you're looking to do a bit of a showcase of Asia. Phu Quoc is an island, and this is more of a December winter sun destination. So being an island, there isn't as much to get out and about and do. There is some fantastic local villages, some markets, but it is much more of a resort style destination. Phu Quoc is developing very fast, so there is a lot of building work going on. There's a lot of construction, but it is a fantastic destination if you're looking for some sunshine during our crazy winters. At the same time, Phan Thiet is very similar, so a winter destination. This is 4 hours from Ho Chi Minh City, so you have to transfer by car, unfortunately, because there's no airport. So as long as you don't mind getting in a car for that long, this is an amazing place. Again, off the beaten track, there's some lovely little villages, great for seafood, and it is surrounded by these fantastic sand dunes. So you can go kite surfing, you can go sandboarding. There's lots of things that you can do. You can even have a romantic dinner at the top of the sand dunes. I was lucky enough to go on a staff conference to Phan Thiet, and we did some wonderful activities, but it's also a beautiful beach, very secluded, and just a great place to relax. And then finally on the beaches, you've got Nha Trang, which again is moving more towards the center, so more of our summer destination. This again is much more luxurious. This is more of an exclusive place. If you're looking for the Maldivian style water villas, then this is the kind of place that you will find it at. There is a big city in Nha Trang, so there are places to visit, but a lot of the hotels tend to be south of that. So you can do the visit into the town and the city as a day trip. It's more of a place if you just want to chill out and relax and really stay in your hotel. So moving into Cambodia. So Cambodia is different, obviously, to Vietnam. It's much smaller. I'll be very honest that the wealth is not in Cambodia in the same way that there is in Vietnam, and you will notice that. The currency in Cambodia is the rial, but they will also accept the USD. Food and drink, very much similar kind of cost to Vietnam, maybe a little bit less, but Siem Reap is obviously one of the iconic sites. Angkor Wat is on many a person's bucket list. To take the photo over the lake and see the reflection is something that a lot of people want. It's a fantastic place to visit, and there are lots of different ways to do it. The thing about Angkor Wat temple site is that it's not just this one temple. There's several temples around. There's the Angkor Thom, and there's this Banteay Sri, which is also known as the Tomb Raider Temple. These are also fantastic places to see. So it depends how into temples you are, and also depending on how long you're staying in Siem Reap. Most people will stay between 3 nights and 4 nights, and balance the amount of temples they do each day. So you maybe go to Angkor Wat and Angkor Thom, then you'll do Banteay Sri another day, because you want that time to reflect and be able to take it in. The fantastic thing about Angkor Thom and these Buddhas that you can see is that you can get a photo where your nose will meet the other Buddha, and it looks like you are nose to nose with the Buddhas. And it's another one of these Instagram fantastic kind of pictures that everybody wants. Same with the Tomb Raider Temple. There is some fantastic photo opportunities where you can really get amongst the roots of the trees. There really are trees growing around this temple everywhere. It is a really interesting place to visit. Siem Reap is like what I would call more of a market town kind of style. There's a river that goes through the middle. Again, as someone who's traveled as a single female, super friendly and super safe place to travel. You can get a tuk-tuk, you can get a little rickshaw person to take you around, but also really easy to wander around on your own. There's a bar street that you can go to at night, and there's also a fantastic night market which you can just wander around and get some of the best spices that I've bought, I have to say. Some fantastic street food is available again, if you're into street food, but there's also some fantastic restaurants available. If you're interested in more iconic kind of shows, there's a really good one called FAR, which is a charity institute, but it's a circus style show. It's really, really interesting. It tells a story. It's very well done. And it's not one of these tacky tourist shows that a lot of people are rebelling against. It's a really interesting kind of show. And then just outside of Siem Reap, about an hour and a half, you've got Tonle Sap Lake, where people will live on these houses. So you can see the house there and then the boats next to it. These will live on the lake all year round, and they will float around the lake. As the lake swells up during the rainy season, they will go further out, and then they will come in for the dry season. You will also pass lots of houses on stilts where people will live. You will be able to experience the local village life. There's opportunities to have meals with the local people. There's some really interesting things on Tonle Sap Lake. If you're into bird watching, there's some great places to be able to go and see the birds at dusk and dawn. And it's a great place to be able to go and see. If you choose the river cruise from Ho Chi Minh City, that will take you into the city of Phnom Penh. Now, Phnom Penh is somewhere that a lot of people want to visit, and then some people just don't want to go there because of the history and because of the tragedy that happened around the areas. It is one of these places that I don't recommend for everyone. If you're interested in the history and what happened during the genocide, then it is somewhere I would say go. But if you have no interest, then it can be somewhere you can quite easily skip in your itinerary. It is a fantastic city. A lot of these cities are built on lakes and rivers, as you can see. It is more of a hustle and bustle of Cambodia. It's the major city of Cambodia. So there's a lot of historic sites and buildings that you can go and see. There's some great historic buildings, some fantastic bars which have been built all the years, and they've got some real history around them. But obviously there's the tragic side as well. You've got S21. You've got the area of the dead. You've got a lot about the Khmer Rouge and the area. It's a really sad place to go. Personally, I found it quite daunting, but I was glad I went because I found out a lot of history. There is still a gentleman who survived all of this, and he will tell you his stories, and it is very hot and gut-wrenching area to visit. As I say, it's very much a personal choice as to whether you visit this area of Phnom Penh or not. And that's me done. So Kam on ban, which is thank you in Vietnamese, and we hope to welcome you soon. And if anybody has any questions, then please let me know.
That was great, Kay. Thank you. I think that was wonderful just to get a really good overview, because I think Vietnam is just so varied, Kay, isn't it? It is so many different places, and lots of people struggle with how to put that together, or which ones they want to go to or don't want to go to. So I think that was a really, really good overview. If no one's got any questions, just really big thank you to Kay for putting that out to everybody. And if I can help anybody going forward with trying to put any plans together or incorporating Vietnam into another trip, or twin centre combination, or just Vietnam, or want to know a bit more about any of those places, then just let me know. So that's great. So thank you everyone for joining, and I'll announce my next event soon.
Lovely.